Yo, hey guys, it's me, Fusion What Ifs, and yeah, today I'm here with part 2 of What a Deku of Sukuna's Descendant. You guys seem to really enjoy a series like this. I'm happy to make more of it. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen part 1, I'll just link part 1 in the top right corner over there. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy this. Sorry, part 2 was supposed to come out like, a few days ago, but like, I remember my Shadow Slave video, and I was like, you know what, this audio sounds kind of rushed. And it's gonna be recorded again, and I didn't find time till, well, today obviously. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope y'all enjoy, like and subscribe, trying to hit 3K. And not very much else to say besides play my intro. Okay, with that all said and done, let's get straight into it, I guess. Hope you guys have your drinks, some snacks. This one might end up being a pretty long one, actually. I'm going to be going from here to, I think, the end of the USJ arc. So, yeah, strap in. We have Izuku and Uraraka walking to class, right? Now, as they walk into class, everyone immediately turns towards them, right? Now, this wouldn't be for any reason like, oh, they look like weird today, or like they look extremely attractive or something like that. No, because Izuku would subconsciously be leaking some cursed energy. And even though they can't see it, they can feel the ominous aura. Sort of think of how like Panda and like Inumaki and all of them felt when they saw Yuta for the first time, and his immense cursed energy. Just not on the same amount, but like same feeling, right? Immediately Uraraka knows what's going on. She would like elbow Izuku and be like, hey, stop that, right? And then Izuku would obviously rein back in his cursed energy, sort of like grunt, be like, and she'd then start apologizing for him, and everyone would be like, dang, I didn't think that was gonna happen. So anyways, after that, she would just lead them both to a seat. I'm gonna say, well, not lead them, but like she would take a seat somewhere. Izuku was like right beside her, and yeah, I'm gonna say Uraraka would just be like chatting up with a bunch of classmates, and that's when we would just pie into Izuku, right? Now Izuku was first of all just looking out a window until he eventually just starts staring directly at the podium in front, right? Now Uraraka would eventually notice this, and she would ask him, what's up? And this is when Izuku would just point at the podium, right? And now it's pretty much I have like everyone's attention, and this is when Aizawa would then slowly emerge and be like, huh, so you caught me. Well, still took you a decent bit. The rest of them didn't even notice till like 6 seconds later. That's not good. You guys are all supposed to be here to be heroes. And we'd see Aizawa in his yellow I guess sleeping bag, right? And he would look very unamused, just very Aizawa like. And I'm gonna say that Aizawa was like, he was awakened by like Izuku's like a leaking cursed energy and all that, but obviously it wouldn't be on the level of some people he's like already met. Like I'm gonna say it wasn't like blatant like stain level, obviously, so he wasn't really concerned, but he was like, dang, okay, didn't know a kid could have an aura like this, kind of worrying. That aside, Aizawa would start mentioning that, oh yeah, we have class examinations coming up, so we're not going to the orientation. I'm gonna say like people like Mina would be like, what? But supposed to also go to orientation and stuff like that, right? It's like it's part of the high school experience, and they'd be like, high school experience? You guys are here to be heroes. You don't need no high school experience. Anyways, I gotta change the clothes for you guys. UA gym track suits, and yeah, get changes to these and meet me on the field. I'm gonna say that they all walk by, grab one. Izuku and Uraraka would still be chatting. Well, it wouldn't really be chatting, but like Uraraka would be talking to Izuku, and Izuku would just be like nodding his head and putting a word in here every now and then. And yeah, this is when we would eventually have them reaching both their change rooms. And as they walk into the change rooms, we would have Izuku start changing, right? Izuku would have scars, for lack of a word. Like I said before, Izuku got majorly bullied as a kid, and he would have just like dozens of scars from like different quirks, things like objects, slashes. But the one that would be the most prominent, I'm gonna say, is I'm gonna say it's like a really bad burn mark, right? Like it was from like a blast, obviously that being like Bakugo's explosion, right? But it's like on like his like left lower abdomen, right? And it looks terrible. I'm talking like it almost looked as bad as like All Might's wound, right? Which is crazy for a kid his age to have, right? So obviously his classmates are kind of like whispering like, dang. And then Christian would be like, dang, your scars are so manly, man. Like, where'd you get them? And Izuku would just look at him and be like, none of your business. And he wouldn't even be like rude or something, he'd just act more cold. Think of like Todoroki, right? This is when some of the guys would be like, okay, well, I guess we shouldn't have asked, because, you know, with a scars like that, he must have had like a really private life or like some like really bad childhood, right? So that aside, we'd finally move on to Izuku walking out, him getting out to the field. I'm gonna say him and Uraraka talk a little bit more. Then we'd have Aizawa being like, okay guys, time to have you guys do the class examination, I guess. He would first call up Izuku because Izuku got number 1 on the exam, obviously. And Izuku would go up there, throw the ball. He get like a, I'm gonna say 1273. This is just him with like pure curse energy and enhanced strength. Obviously, this is just like raw strength. And yeah, he'd actually do pretty good getting number 1 for the ball throw, with the exception of, you know, Uraraka, who can just literally foot it up to, you know, the atmosphere or something like that. But yeah, the kids would start getting hyped. Students start getting hyped, thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna do awesome, and like, oh, we get to use our quirks. As I was thinking, this would be like, no. You guys think you're here for fun? Like I said, it's a hero school. We're training you guys here to be heroes. So how about this? Whoever comes in last gets expelled. Now obviously they start rioting, saying you can't do that. And this is when he says, what you mean I can't do that? I'm your teacher. I can do anything I want in this class. Actually, I expelled the entirety of you know, class 1A last year. It wouldn't make any difference this year either. And this is when everyone just like sort of like freeze and like, you know, get kind of shocked. I'm gonna say obviously people like Izuku and Todoroki just like wouldn't care because they're just like that, obviously. And you know, Bakugo would still be fuming from the fact that, you know, Izuku is still strong, even though Izuku did literally manhandle him, right? Anyways, we would now move on, and I'm gonna say we start speeding through tests, and at the very end we would have Izuku, I'm gonna say number 1, obviously, because he is our main character. And that cursed energy enhanced strength is no joke, right? So yeah, he would get number 1. Number 2 probably like Momo or some. 3 Todoroki, 4 Bakugo. And like, I'm gonna say, surprisingly enough, 5 might end up going to Uraraka. No, I'm gonna say 5 goes to Ida and like 6 Uraraka. Just to show that, you know, like Uraraka's training with, you know, Izuku is like going somewhere, right? Like it is doing something. So she is in like the upper echelons of the class now. And obviously, I just think of people who have like better physical stats than her, but after all of that, I can, oh actually no, I guess there is also like a Ojiro and like a bunch of people who I guess will have like better physical stats than her right now, but like don't worry about that. I'm gonna say her stats were heavily carried by the fact that she absolutely washed in the ball throw, right? So we'd finally get done with that, and as I would then, you know, spill the secrets, I'm gonna say, be like, well, actually, I was just lying. No one's gonna, you know, expel today, and yeah, just get ready for school tomorrow. Goodbye. And you know, we just walk away all like tired and stuff. I'm gonna say we didn't have the Bakugo and, you know, Izuku collision, which would lead to him showing off his quirk. But I am gonna say that like who would it be? I don't know. Somebody's quirk was like sort of like acting up, so like I'm gonna say, you know, he still did show like erasure, and so told him like, oh yeah, my name is, you know, Shoto Aizawa, hero name Eraserhead or something like that. And yeah, there's a reason why I was picked to be a teacher in this class, because, you know, obviously having a teacher who can disable other people's quirks is phenomenal, especially for a class that's bound to have a bunch of powerful quirks. But anyways, we would then have that going on. Yeah, Izuku and Uraraka would end up like walking home. I'm gonna say that Ida would tag along just cause, and like he would be there, but Izuku wouldn't really be talking to him. It would just be like Uraraka talking to him pretty much, right? And yeah, they would end up, I'm gonna say, dropping Ida up at a station. Then they would end up like walking all the way home. They'd get there, and obviously they live in the same house, different rooms obviously, and they would just celebrate a good night, and they would just head to bed. Next day we would have them going right back out to school, and it would be weird because today there'd be a mob for the class, right? And everyone would start asking how it feels to be taught by, you know, the great no, I feel like that's wrong. Yeah, that's the wrong order. Scratch everything I said before, just go to school like normal. And yeah, we'd eventually have them, you know, walking into class, and they'll go pretty normally up until we'd have the All Might class, right? Like the Heroics 101, right? And we'd have All Might walk in saying, "Never fear, for I am here," in my Silver Age costume or something like that, right? Everyone would start going ballistic, getting hyped, like, oh my god, that's All Might, and like, oh my god, he can't believe he's actually here and stuff like that, right? Now everyone would start geeking extremely, and this is when we'd have All Might sort of like scan around the class, and his eyes would land upon Izuku, right? Immediately, obviously not noticeable to a bunch of the kids, except I'm gonna say Izuku. He's gonna like, his eyes would like sort of like dim a little bit, and you can like see some like sadness and like regret and stuff like that. So, but he can let that, you know, dictate his class right now. You start telling about how, you know, they have everything set up, hero costume included, you know, the walls start opening up, you know, their suitcases and all that, and everyone start walking out towards the battlegrounds for, you know, battle training, right? Now, I'm gonna say Izuku walks out last just because of plot convenience, and All Might would like try reaching out to him, be like, hey, can I talk? Before you can even like really talk to him, Izuku would just look back at him, right? And in Izuku's eyes, he wouldn't see hatred or like anger or like any of like the truly like negative emotions. He would just see complete indifference, right? And this would like kind of shock him more, because he was expecting for him to be angry, for him to like hate All Might, right? But he just seemed empty, dull even, right? And this would be such a stark contrast to the boy he saw on top of that roof, right? To the boy who, even though was filled with such despair, still had a glimmer of hope before it faded after he told him those words, right? Now, obviously, All Might would be shocked. I'm gonna say like, or like, let's go of Izuku in his grip. Izuku would just turn back around and just walk. That's literally how it would go. I'm gonna say Ochako was waiting for him by the rail, by like the door or something. So they just end up walking out together, because they're literally like attached to the hip. That's how I'm making this work. If you guys hate me for that, hate me for that. I don't really flip and care. And yeah, pretty much after that, we would have obviously them putting on their hero costumes. Ochako will be the same as last time, maybe with just like more like rescue equipment. I'm saying like she's gonna have like maybe like a rope or something, like capture like materials, like tie people up and stuff like that. I'll think of more stuff, but like her costume would have like more gadgets. Think of like Batman and stuff, right? So obviously, I'm gonna give smoke pellets or something like that, yeah. So obviously that would happen. Izuku's hero costume, I'm gonna say, is just gonna be think of like Yuji's hero costume. Sorry, not Yuji's, like Yuji's like Jujutsu High, whatever. Yeah, that'd pretty much be it, because can't really think of anything else he would wear. I'm gonna say that, you know, some like the shins and like the forearms have like plated, obviously. They're like underneath the whatever, and obviously they'll be like decently heavy, but not extremely heavy. Izuku could still carry them with ease. And yeah, I'm gonna start congratulating everyone on their, you know, phenomenal looking hero costumes, because as he says, part of being a hero is looking the part, and you know, he doesn't, you know, striking, you know, famous All Might pose, and that would all happen, random stuff, right? Anyways, sorry if you guys can hear that. The people are just going up and down the stairs. Like you guys already know, my room is literally right by the stairs now, so yay. But anyways, we would finally have them actually doing the battle training. I'm gonna keep it same to canon, so it would be Bakugo and Ida versus Izuku and Uraraka. In this one, Izuku and Uraraka would be planning, and they would tell him that, okay, Bakugo's still probably gonna rush for me, because he does have his pride, right? Even though Izuku did put him down crazy in high school, which was like, you know, part 1, he does still have his pride. So obviously he wants to get his lick back, fight him. So Izuku just tells Uraraka to float herself all the way up, and this time she doesn't get nauseous as quickly, because she's been training with Izuku, obviously, right? Sorry for that. You're training with Izuku, obviously, right? So just tell him, oh yeah, float all the way to the top of the building, go down there, and then you would see Ida most likely, right? She couldn't, or I guess that she's gonna try to like, sorry, not that. Izuku would mention that she should try to get into like a hand-to-hand collision with Ida, because he doesn't seem like as trained in close combat as someone would. He seems more like, you know, those like speed types who like do like heavy hitting moves, because, you know, he's crickets, right? So that doesn't work. Throw some smoke pellets and like get to the bomb, because obviously if he can't see where he's going, he's either gonna stop or he's gonna run himself straight into a wall or pillar, and that's pretty much the plan, right? So soon as you know, timer starts, Uraraka would float herself up discreetly, and we just see Izuku just walk in, right, all calm and stuff. And before he even gets like the second floor, he immediately like dodges back, as the wall beside him would literally explode, and he would see Bakugo twin gauntlet up, and he would then start saying, so you think you can get away from beating me like that in high school, Izuku? You have a different thing coming. And immediately just start throwing explosions that Izuku would just be like weaving and dodging with absolute ease. And this is when Bakugo would say, well, if you don't want to fight me, then I'll make you fight me. And this is when, Bako would immediately just point a gauntlet directly at Izuku, right? And Izuku would be sort of like, what's this? And this is when Bako would then start to release the pin on his gauntlet. All men would be yelling, Bakugo! But, it'd already be like too late. The pistons would go off, and this is like a crazy big explosion too, right? Like, the entirety of the hallway is filled. But before he reaches Izuku, he would just use a good old-fashioned dismantle, right? No, was it dismantle? No. He would end up using cleave, but he would use the, like, cobweb or like a spiderweb version he used in the manga, right? Which is just like, it's just like a bunch of like cleaves stacked together in the form like a spider web and stuff like that. So it pretty much like cut through the explosion and like hold it back a decent amount, right? Because telekinetic cutting, or I guess shrine in this case, would produce some force, right? Like his slashes don't just slash, they don't just like appear, like they have force behind it, obviously. And if they have force, that means they also have the ability to push things, right? But anyways, that would happen. Izuku would pretty much be unscattered. I'm gonna say he had like a burn mark on his shoe or something like that, but that's pretty much it. But he would look much different. He would look kind of pissed, obviously. He'd be like, what was like, he would be so mad, he'd be like confused, because who in their right mind would throw an explosion that big in a crowded hallway if they weren't trying to kill the person there, right? And Izuku, he'd just be done with Bakugo, right? He'd do a few like dismantles, leaving him completely bloodied up, and Bakugo would just pass out, right? I'm gonna say he does some capture tape on, Bakugo, and he's making his way up the stairs until he hears "Hero Team wins," which is obviously Uraraka, who, as planned, was able to get into a close quarter combat fight with Ida, obviously watching his legs because that's where his engines are, and eventually he ended up using the smoke pellets, and Ida, who wasn't expecting it, couldn't stop in time, and he ran like directly into a wall, and Uraraka was able to just go get the bomb. And well, obviously she like tapped Ida first, so that Ida was floating, and he couldn't get any like leverage on the ground to run. And that's pretty much how that would end off. They'd end up winning that with pretty much ease. If you guys have noticed, I'm gonna have Uraraka do a lot more in this one. She's not gonna be some like helpless hero, and she's gonna end up being pretty strong. I'm not sure what else I have planned for her, but like we'll figure it out when I get there, right? Anyways, we then have them all go out and change. Sorry, not go out and change, just all go out. And All Might, I'm gonna say, is the one who's like, okay, who was the MVP of this one, right? I want to say that Momo would say Uraraka because she went through the flame flawlessly, didn't cause any like extra damage, and was extremely proficient in how she took care of the stuff and also got the bomb, right? Izuku would just nod his head thinking, yeah, she did, and all that. Everyone would pretty much agree except for like Bakugo. But Bakugo can't really reach nothing because he's knocked out, bloodied. Because, I'm going to say that, put him on a stretcher, take him all the way to Recovery Girl. Now, some people in the class would be like kind of like shocked that Izuku went that far. But like, number one, they were like really shallow cuts. And number two, they also saw the explosion that, got sent directly at Izuku, right? So they were like understanding why he would do all that. I'm going to say, next day, yeah, just time skip the next day because I really can't keep on doing the they leave class, all that. You already just know the pattern. So next day they would end up going to school like usual, him and Uraraka. I'm gonna say Ida tagged along because they met up. And yeah, this is when we actually have the reporters again for real this time. So then I'm saying, hey, how does it feel being taught by All Might, going on UA, yada yada yada. Zuko just end up walking past him. I'm gonna say he like grabs Uraraka's hand. He starts like weaving past him, pretty much. Some reporters like literally get in his way, but just push them out the way. And they'd be like, so rude. This is a class 1A student? Can't believe that. And just end up going inside, right? Would take a more liberal approach, saying that he's a student of class 1A, yada yada yada, you guys should get out the way, and that being a part of class 1A is one of the best parts of his life and stuff like that. Just like absolutely glazing, but like he digresses. We'd end up going through that, and we would have Aizawa talk about how some stuff could have gone better. I'm gonna say that he doesn't really talk on Izuku this time because Izuku didn't break his arms and stuff like that, but he will tell Izuku to comment a little bit on the cuts that he put on Bakugo, because even though Bakugo was highly irresponsible and threw a massive fucking explosion at him, he should have still been the bigger person in that situation, because that's what a hero would have done. Izuku would just sort of like look the other way, sort of like, okay, I don't really care. And yeah, he would end up ripping into Bakugo a little bit more though, saying that was dangerous, are you dumb, you can't even be a hero properly, and like stuff like that. And like Bakugo wouldn't be listening, just be thinking, this damn Deku, I'm gonna get him next time, right? Like stuff like that, like this like destructive ass mindset, right? But anyways, after that we'd have Aizawa finally talk about the presidents of them, like class president and stuff like that. And I'm gonna say end up going to voting, and just like in canon, it would be Ida and Yaoyorozu, right, Momo. And yeah, we would have the same situation in the cafeteria, but I'm gonna say that this time, actually, yeah, this time I end up going to canon still, but Izuku would have ended up noticing that, like, you know, the spike in curse energy, number one, which obviously none of the reporters should have been able to do that. Number two, he would notice from the window that the gate seems disintegrated, right, which doesn't seem normal for a reporter to have as a quirk. Number two. And finally, which is last but not least, number three, he would end up seeing that what's it called? He's gonna end up seeing, I'm gonna say, a small portal appearing, disappearing, right? Like he would like sense it, then he would see it and see like a wisp before it's gone, right? Now obviously all of this would lead to him concluding that yeah, something got into UA. Maybe this wasn't just the reporters and stuff like that, right? Afterwards, you would finally have them going on the bus to the USJ. I'm gonna say that obviously Izuku's gonna sit beside Ida in this one, because I guess that they are the closest male companions in this. And yeah, that would still happen. Froppy wouldn't make the comparison between him and All Might, because Izuku would have a much different quirk, but still be physically strong. So yeah, she would still mention about how, you know, the top 3 and strongest is easily Izuku, Todoroki, and what's him called, and Bakugo. But Bakugo probably won't get popular because, you know, he's pretty much a brat, but bad attitude. And obviously Bakugo in the back would just prove her right, start like raging, saying, "Hey, what do you think you're talking to, Frog Girl," or something like that. And yeah, that ended up happening. They finally get to the USJ, and this is where Izuku would immediately sense like a presence as soon as he walks in, right? So we're supposed to be like vigilant, standing at the back, and this is when obviously doors would close, interference would like be set up so they couldn't make any calls, and immediately we would have a portal open in the center of the USJ. Now, obviously, looking at this portal, everyone would be sort of afraid, well, not wondering what would be happening, and this is when we would have the appearance of, you know, Kurogiri, Shigaraki, the Nomu, and a bunch of villains just flooding the USJ, right? Aizawa would spring into action, saying this is not a drill, 13, protect the kids, right? And obviously go down there, start whooping, but Izuku would want to follow, but like, you know, he got clear orders from 13 to stay still. And that's pretty much what happened until we would have Kurogiri, who would teleport all the way up there. You know, we would have the little clash between, like, I'm gonna say Bakugo and Kirishima, who tried to, you know, stop Kurogiri again, like in canon, but wouldn't do anything. We'd also have Izuku, who would actually like send like a slash directly at Kurogiri's neck piece, because I'm gonna say, you know, that part seemed tangible, and like Kurogiri wouldn't be expecting this, right? So like he would get hit, and he'd be like pretty decently injured, but like he would still be able to, you know, teleport the rest of them away. And then pretty much go out to canon from here. He would still get put in the water zone, saved by Froppy for a decent part. I'm gonna say that like in canon, Izuku would end up just like jumping and holding both of them. I'm gonna say he would end up using a bunch of slashes towards the water where nobody was at, like really strong slashes, to try and recreate the effect of like the Delaware smash that he did in canon. And then it was less like working the same with, you know, Mineta throwing like, you know, his sticky whatevers at the water, and, you know, end up catching all the villains like in canon. Eventually we would have Izuku looking forward, so I guess Izuku would end up landing, right? And immediately he would try to look for Uraka, right? But in this one, Uraka would have already taken care of her situation with, you know, her group of people or stuff like that. So he would be pretty okay, but like, okay, she's safe. And then immediately after that, he would look to the left, I'm gonna say, and that's where he would see the Nomu completely piecing up Aizawa. So obviously Izuku would go help, and to put it quite simply, Izuku is strong, don't get me wrong, but he is nowhere near Nomu level. So as he's literally fighting this Nomu, he's fighting for his life, right? Like, the Nomu's like beating him up, like he's using a bunch of slashes, but the Nomu's just like generating, and like he starts using like some heavy hitting cleaves, and even though like pretty much splits the Nomu in half, he would just regenerate quite easily, like literally like a few seconds later, and Izuku just can't catch a break, right? Immediately he would start falling, right? He would start failing. He'd start falling into his old minds and thinking that even though he got all this power, how was he still this weak? How could he still not fight this Nomu? As, you know, more clashes would go by. Eventually, I'm gonna say the Nomu kicks him into a wall, and everyone scream, especially Uraka from the bar, saying Izuku, and, you know, stuff like that, right? As Izuku just laid in this wall, he would be disappointed. He'd be saddened. He'd feel despair. How could he, someone with the legacy of the King of Curses, the disgraced one, be losing to this random creature? What am I missing? What can I get right here? and immediately start thinking to what Sukuna was talking about, right? Because I want to say Sukuna did like explain curse energy to him, right? So he was like, even though you're gonna have my abilities, I'm not sure if it's gonna work well with you. You're not selfish enough. You don't want this enough, right? Like, tell me, are you really deserving of Shrine? Can you really move on my legacy? And this is immediately when Izuku will start to get mad, right? And trying to think about all the times where he does pretty much like, he acted like pretty like reactively, right? Like he doesn't ever start anything himself, and he doesn't even really move. He just sort of like reacts to stuff. But this time he wants to be the moving force. He wants to do what he wants to do, and no one can stop him from now on, right? Immediately as soon as this happens, I'm gonna say a little click goes on in his head, right? Now, this is when we would have, I'm gonna say, sort of like pseudo enlightenment, right? And Izuku would just stand back up, right? He wouldn't be healing so be blood and stuff like that. I'm not gonna reverse curse energy just yet, but he would stand back up, and no one would try slashing him again, right? Izuku would just like wave both his fingers, and immediately the normal hand would just go flying. Like, I mean, like, no one would even notice, just go flying. This is when Izuku would then kick the Nomu, and Nomu would also go flying again. I'm gonna say that, you know, he would have a boosted, boosted curse energy manipulation, and that's not it right now, right? They would have fight a few more times, and Izuku would then elbow the Nomu, right? Eventually, flashes of black would just appear, and the Nomu would go flying. This is when Izuku would just look at his hands and be like, this is what I've been waiting for. Is this what he was talking about? The black flash? Wait, he talked about domain expansion. Is this how he did it? He would put up a curse sign. What? He put up a hand sign, and immediately he would say, domain expansion, malevolent shrine. And a barrier would form, obviously, because he's nowhere near barrierless, you know, domain expansion. But it would encircle him and the Nomu, and everyone else I would just see like a spear of like black, obviously, right? But in this space, there would be like water on the ground, and we would have, obviously, Sukuna's domain. But it wouldn't be nearly as complete. It would be like half a shrine at best. Like the pillars would look cracked and stuff like that. Not nearly as many skulls of, you know, his defeated enemies. But it would still be there. It would still be a legitimate domain. A bit extremely incomplete, sort of like Megumi's, but a domain nonetheless. And this is when Izuku would say, so this is how he did it. He started going crazy with like laughter, enjoying himself, thinking that he's you know, above everyone else, right? Till he remembers Uraraka, and he's like, I have to finish this up quickly, right? This is when I'm gonna say he's gonna put like a end to like a pseudo awakening, and we would eventually just have him, you know, just obliterate the Nomu in his domain expansion with a bunch of dismantle and cleaves. And yeah, the domain expansion would then release, and everyone would just see the bunch of the pieces of Nomu just lying on the ground, right? Like finely cut pieces, like he got minced, right? Now, obviously, seeing this, Shigaraki and Kurogiri would be pooping their pants, right? Like they'd be shitting their pants, because obviously they weren't expecting a villain. Sorry, not hero. A villain like this, right? I said villain again. Shoot, because in their mind, this isn't a hero activity. Like a hero can't have a quirk that destructive and be useful, right? They weren't expecting this, and Shigaraki is not trying to get, you know, cut up. He immediately just called Kurogiri and said, Kurogiri, get us out of here right now. And obviously Kurogiri would comply, open up the portal right before Izuku can get to them, as the portal will close and a slash up, say, would end up like flying right past them into a wall as they teleport away. Now after this, Izuku would say, shit, I couldn't get him, and then he would start like collapsing a little bit because, you know, he isn't strong enough yet, and he's gonna faint. That's where I'm gonna end this part off, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. This has been part 2 of what if Deku was Sukuna's Descendant. And yeah, some of you guys might be asking why he's, you know, kind of weak. Obviously, like I said before, he's only had 5 fingers right now. The way I have, you know, the quirk working, quirks are powered by like emotional energy, which is what Yamase Izuku had before. But with the more fingers he gains, the more he's able to transmute his output of curse energy and transfer his output of emotional energy into curse energy, right? So right now with 5 fingers, he has 25% curse energy and 75% emotional energy, right? Which he sort of like blends together, but obviously the curse energy powers Shrine a lot more than the emotional energy would, right? So I'm gonna say that's the reason why he was sort of like getting his butt beat. But like, yeah, besides that, not really much else to say. Hope y'all enjoyed this part. Might get a double upload today, actually. Well, not double upload today. I'm just thinking of making another what if soon. I've been like, you know, wanna like fudge another like one shot, because I like making one shots. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope y'all enjoyed. This has been a pretty good what if, I'm gonna say, and not really much else to say. Stay cold, stay frosted. Peace.